The first thing that comes to mind is that the tools, the books, the self-help, get a great relationship in 5 Easy Step books and seminars just didn't hold within it the promise of something that would be long lasting. And I saw that we could be really doomed to a continuing life of the same old and just an ordinary existence and sometimes mediocrity that I wanted to avoid, and saw for us a possibility of something that could be vastly different and very exciting.
Also, I think that there is this temptation out there to read a book or do these little improvements to oneself or to one's relationship, and it never seems to be enough. And I think that this particular work and these series of workshops allows for a couple to emerge where you really have been operating as an individual, number one, and then number two, we're talking about quantum leaps, and we're talking about large transformations within relationship rather than our relationship was not working and now it's a little bit better.
And given that you saw this as something different from what you see, on the net, what did you find yourself experiencing here at this vacation-based workshop?
Well, that was a big key because you can literally leave your world on hold, come and be in an environment that is nurturing, value-based, family-based, couple-based, that allows you the opportunity to truly explore the workshop together. It's not like reading a book by yourself when you go to bed at night and then say, by the way, I'd like you to read this when you wake up tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I think that there's a certain space opens up at a beautiful resort like Club Solaris, and you really, to the extent that you can become an open book and absorb the concepts that are being discussed in the workshop, and you can really develop a level of connectedness, not only with your spouse, but with the folks that you're vacationing with, your family, the other people on the property, and then the staff here at Club Solaris. I mean, really, after a number of visits here, you really become like family.
So rather than a kind of improve or fix or make better, you discovered something larger than that.
Well, the phenomenon is transformation. It more of the same comes from fix, change, improvement.
Yeah.
But the experience here in the workshop is something that transcended and transformed the space we were in and the relationship we had.
And it's it's an open exploration. It's a work in progress, and I think that what we learned is that you can make a game out of almost anything, and you can make a game out of relationship. And what a wonderful place to play the game. It's just great.
That's great. And anything that you'd want to say to others in terms of recommendation?
We have found that our marriage, our relationship, our life has become a delightful adventure versus the same old regular and what everybody else experiences. Complaint, upset, disagreement, those things, if they do come up, because they don't disappear completely. That's truth in advertising here. But when they do come up, the duration, the intensity, is so much less that we can disappear and upset in an instant once we reconnect with the concepts that we learned during the workshop here at Club Solaris.
I think one of the reasons we came to this resort was to experience an opportunity to have play and fun and ease And what we took away from the workshop was that we can have play, fun, and ease within the confines of our relationship. And we don't necessarily have to be on vacation.
Although it's nice.
Yeah, I recommend it highly as often as you can. But, you don't have to be on vacation to experience those things inside of your relationships, whether it's your marriage, your family, or your other relationships in your life.
Anything else that you'd like to say or express with regards to your experience here?
Well, it left me feeling very related.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That was terrific.
Yeah, that was good.
Perfect ending.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Okay, now I want to look 20 pounds lighter, 20 years younger.
Do your job.
Do your job. Make us sound really.
So, Paul and Carol, obviously you were here a long time ago, seems like a long time ago, to be in our family workshop here in Club Solaris in Los Cabos. Can you say why you joined us in for that workshop?
Well, we were newly married, right?
Yeah, less than a year.
Less than a year married. And we brought Carol's two children, two of her three children, who were my brand new stepchildren.
And they were 16 and 20, I think. So they were sort of adjusting to this whole thing.
Yes.
And of course we knew you. We had a wonderful evening with you in your hometown. And you were doing something that sounded really interesting. And that's about all we really knew, except that it was an easy sell for the kids. No, if we'd said, do you want to go spend a week doing a family workshop in a hotel in downtown Washington, D.C., they would have said, not on a bet. But do you want to go to a resort? It's kind of like a cruise ship that doesn't go anywhere, for a week? Sure. And even Amy said, do we have to go to the sessions? Yes, that's your price of admission. So it was a very attractive opportunity from our standpoint to explore what this is that we just created, a family. And the name of the course, something like Families by Design, a game worth playing, that just had a really intriguing ring that maybe we could create something with these two young people. We loved each other madly, and of course I adored my children. And they were of an age when we weren't going to be taking family vacations. We couldn't count on it forever.
That's great.
So we all said, and we love San Diego, so let's go. Let's explore.
And what would you say?
Just
Sorry.
Thank you. I'm gonna see if I'm recording. Oh yes, I am.
Okay. And had you done any other programs, and if so, what do you think set what you did here with us apart?
So by that time, we had explored a lot of other couples workshops and trainings and publications, and hadn't we by that time? I think
We had been engaged in that for
Yeah.
a couple of years. And before that, even individually, we had participated in programs where we had these great insights and we could take some power to create our life. And I'd come home from these and the children wouldn't be interested. Isn't that nice you did that, Mom? So it just seemed like a really unique opportunity to have those kinds of growth experiences and insights with them, having them engaged in it with us as our partners. And maybe they didn't come that way, but we had a sense that we might be able to create that. So rather than coming home from a workshop where we had all these great things we wanted to implement in our family, we actually had them here and could have them design it with us.
That's great.
And there was a moment in this workshop where what the person I always refer to now as our daughter, Amy, and at that point I would have referred to her as my stepdaughter, and she turned to me at one point in the process and said, well, sometime in the last 2 days I got that I can accept you as my stepfather and not just as mom's husband. So at that moment, in my world, I got another daughter, and that's not something you get every day. You don't get a 20-year-old daughter every day, and I did.
Well,
And
but there's been a long-term impact now that she's 27, and she'll call home, and if she'll try all the phones, but she's got something on her mind she wants to share or she wants to talk about, and she doesn't reach me, she started calling Paul, and she would have the same conversation about this issue in her life, and now I think sometimes just short-circuits the process and goes straight to Paul. So she really created a bond with him that wasn't there before. She was kind of fending it off, like, who's this intruder, this guy who moved into my parking space in the garage. You know?
good. Yeah, I had taken her garage door opener. Since she was away, I got her garage door opener, and that was a big hurdle to overcome for a while.
That's great.
But she hadn't actually voiced. So there
Yeah.
were things simmering that hadn't been expressed, but they were in the way.
Yeah,
It's great.
And that gave us the opportunity to really look at how we wanted to be as a family. And there really wasn't a family there. There were four people with funny, kind of sometimes awkward connections.
Well, there was the three of us and you. And then there was the three of us and then the two of us.
Two of us.
The three of us and the two of us.
And the two of them and the two of us.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
And then you all became family.
We did.
we did. We really did. We really did. And the other thing we notice is that every family walks in with kind of automatic, the way it's happened, the way it seemed to have turned up because you were in that's the way our culture says a family is. And we maybe had the advantage of walking in there with a very, very short history.
Yeah. Okay. So, obviously, when we do our workshops, families, not blended families, but what we would call original families attend. And what do you see might be the benefit for them then?
Well, one thing we saw was it's not all that different. And there was a moment that you invited our children to choose or not choose to be part of the family. And the families that had been together since the child was born and our family had the same choice. So it really didn't make any difference. We just saw the benefit for everybody. And that precious moment when my children chose me as their mother. It was a beautiful moment. I mean, I'm still kind of emotional because they got stuck with me. You know, they didn't get to choose, and until they were 16 and 20, they did choose me.
Yeah. And chose Paul too then.
And they chose Paul.
Yeah.
But the way you set it up as a completely safe space, like you guaranteed these two people are legally committed to support you. They're going to support you. You're not going to kick you out. They're going to give you your education. They'll provide for you. And you just get to choose whether you're going to be in the game with them or not. Or you're just going to live with them until you're 18 or whenever your needs are over and then leave.
That's great.
So it was very safe.
And the other thing is that a regular an original family,
Right.
whatever you want to call that, with no step relations, that's constantly changing. I mean, if there's a child who had a relationship to that family and a role in that family at 6 years old, and now that person is 14 years old, we all know this changes. So it isn't like, oh, it got set because you got born in here. You know, you came in as this tiny little helpless person, and eventually you're going to be this big, you know, Teddy's like way bigger than I am now. And you're going to be this big independent person. And family has to get reinvented all along there. So it's like Carol was saying, it didn't feel that different. And because probably very few children have been allowed to make that choice kind of freely, or given the opportunity and said, hey, you want in or don't you?
That's great. Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, in addition to that, you've joined us for relationship workshops here. And there's a lot of workshops or seminars or programs, I think, that offer people, you know, steps or instructions to make their relationships better, which we don't. What is your take? What do you see? What it is that sets the relationship workshops apart from others?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is that most of those, not all of those other workshops, somewhere in there is the desire or a plan to fix something that's wrong. Sometimes it's really blatant, like, you know, save yourself from divorce, or sometimes it's more subtle, but somewhere in there is always the idea that something's wrong here, and we're going to give you tips and tricks and strategies to fix that. And your workshops come from a totally different point of view, which is that this is the way relationships work. This is what relationships are. And looking at that, what is a relationship really? How does it work? What kind of an animal is a relationship? And then you get to live with and invent from that. You invent your relationship from what a relationship really is, and it gives you a freedom to not fix what's wrong with it, because often what we're trying to fix is something that's just the way relationships are.
Or even just kind of the way we've got habits of acting. It's like there's nothing wrong with that. It's just appears to be in the way, but in this inquiry that we do in a group, which is a different thing from in a counseling session too. There's something really powerful about having a group of couples who are sharing openly and honestly about what it's really like to be in that relationship. And we get to see that oh, you know, it's not all that different for everybody. It might have slightly, you know, strawberry versus raspberry, but it's flavors of the same human condition. And we get down to or into that place where our hearts are open and we're in the presence of love. What can we create? Very different from if we just stop doing this and make a list and be very intentional and do this process. If we did this process once a day, we definitely would have the relationship of our dreams. That's not what we got out of this workshop. And I'm not knocking the value of that for, you know, for what it is. It's very good. But this is really an orientation, like shifting the point of view or the perspective you have on relationship. There's nothing wrong.
That's great. We, Sandy and I wish to thank you for expressing this to us and for trusting us in the first place that something unique could come out of this. And what you've expressed is actually a very wonderful acknowledgement, not only of what we do, but of the people who participate, like you, and what you've made of it, you know, what you've done with it. And we thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, we want to thank you too, because it is intended as an acknowledgement, because you have led us and a lot of people into an inquiry where we just see things about ourselves and about families and couples and other kinds of relationships that just aren't seen, are not usually seen.
And I'd like to add that that was back in, it was 2005 when we did those 2 workshops. And when I look back, that's now 6 years or so. The path we have been on ever since has been an adventure, an inquiry. What do we want to create now? What are we going to create? And it's been an exciting path, and we really are in that. To us, the extraordinary relationship that we have is that path. We're clear it's not something we're going to achieve one day, someday. It's being willing to say, hey, I'm in. This is the adventure called life, and isn't it great to have a partner in that adventure, and to know that whatever happens, it's in the context of our love for each other. And even if it doesn't look like that, we know that's, oops, there was a mistake, not a problem.
Yeah, that's
like that.
great.
So it's not automatically, oh, he's going to leave me, or he hates me. It's, oh, there's something to be curious about here.
That's great.
So it looks like a lifetime of ever-expanding adventures and growing love.
That's great.
It's just been such a rich and wonderful experience being with you and with the other people that we've had the honor to be with, and to be a part of your lives for whatever period of time that is, whether it's one time or many times, each time. And with all who come, there's something to appreciate and to honor about the values that bring people to not only our workshops, but here to this environment and this setting. It's a wonderful combination, and we love being here and making this available. So thank you.
Well, what a great place to do it too.
It's like,
Imagine.
oh dear, I have to go do another workshop. oh well, I'll put up with it in Los Cabos.
In Los Cabos,
With
in
the
the
beach
ocean breezes,
and the-
with the
and the palm
flowers
trees.
blooming around us in the sun.
Couldn't you imagine a better place?
No.
That's great.
So yes, thank you for coming.
You're welcome. So even looking forward to it, saying, I'm not sure what this workshop's going to be, but we're
coming.
crazy. We're in paradise.
Right. If the workshop doesn't work, we still have the right.
We're still in paradise. Yes.
This beautiful place and weather with the beautiful weather.